Subtitles by Dima Torza. Hello friends, as promised, here is the video about architecture, but before we start, a small announcement. Please watch this video until the end and leave your questions in the comments. If there are enough questions and they are all relevant, we can make a separate video answering them. Friends, our team consists of self-taught programmers. I myself completed my first courses once, then the second courses because I didn't really understand anything in the first ones. Then I studied separately with a teacher, later I got an internship, and thus I landed my first job not immediately after finishing the courses, but only after a year. That is, it has been just over 2 years since I started learning. Therefore, I completely understand how difficult it can be to navigate a rather complex topic like programming. Therefore, our mission is to bring together people here who want to enhance their skills as IT specialists. We kindly ask you to support our work. 2 simple actions, a like and a subscription, will greatly support us and motivate us to continue making videos. What will our plan be? Our plan will be as follows. We will now look at a diagram of how the entire development process looks. Then we will simply go through each of these stages. We will be particularly interested in the 3rd stage, when we make decisions about the architecture, and the 4th stage, which is the actual development, where we will be writing code. Let's take a look. What does the process look like? Accordingly, the first step is gathering requirements. We need to understand what exactly we will be doing. The second step is analyzing these requirements, which means identifying potential problems and the technologies to be used. At the 3rd stage, the design decision is essentially made. We will have monolith plus MVC plus event-driven architecture. I will tell you in a little while what the specifics are. Development, testing, that is, at the moment of testing, we want to check the weak points, as well as ensure that the application meets the requirements. Next, the implementation, which means the goal is to put the system into operation, and accordingly, it will be necessary to support and further develop it. That is, to enhance the system's functionality, maintain existing mechanisms, and fix the numerous bugs that will arise. Alright, to be continued. Let's move on. The first stage is gathering requirements. Essentially, it is important for us to understand what the system should do, for whom it is being created, and what the main functionality should be. Accordingly, our system is an application, solving the problem of user interaction with the library. But the libraries are not Java libraries, not code libraries, but libraries with books that are in the city. Accordingly, what should our application be able to do? The user should be able to rent a book, return a book, and the application should collect statistics on which books or how many books have been taken, for example, over a certain period of time. In the second stage, we need to analyze the requirements and make a decision about the technology stack, as well as understand which components we can divide our application into. Well, the most interesting thing is the design of the architecture. So, dear friends, let's think together about what our application will be like. Firstly, as I mentioned, we will have a system for user interaction with a library. The library itself should have the ability to save some statistics. The user must be able to borrow a book in a convenient manner and return a book. Actually, these are the minimum requirements. What architectural solution are we going to use here? First of all, we have this file that we all looked at. And here is when to use a monolith. It states that for small applications for startups with a limited number of users, a prototype of a minimum viable product, various small online stores, informational portals, or an application for renting something. Well, we also have a book application for renting too. Good. What will we use inside? Let's go to the Common Architecture tab. And here's what we will use inside. First, okay, a monolith. Look, I placed this icon here. And on the video, there will also be such an icon on the video thumbnail. This means that we touched on a certain theme in the video. Accordingly, in other videos, we will cover different themes, and there will be other icons. Thus, by reviewing this file, you can understand roughly what topics videos will be released on, what topics have already been released, and how they relate to each other. Good. Monolith. Next. What about the architectural style? Our architectural style will be event-driven architecture based on events. So, it is very important to understand what the difference is between simple requests and events. So, the difference is as follows. When we talk about REST requests, it is simply a request response. One component initiates a request to another component, client server. The initiator of the interaction, that is, for example, you as a user, always understands to whom this request is sent, and where, so to speak. In an event, it is simply a message that one component sends without expecting a response. This is very important. In REST requests, we expect a response from something and understand where we are directing it. In an event, it simply happens. That is, there is some trigger and an event occurs. What's next? In REST requests, interaction is typically synchronous. In events, it operates asynchronously by nature. This is also important. The next point, for example, is the method of delivery. That is, REST is usually based on the HTTP protocol. Events can be delivered through message brokers. A very important point is that REST requests are generally used to modify or retrieve states, known as CRUD operations. In events are usually used to provide notification or update about a change that has occurred in that very state. Well, accordingly, events are used in our event-driven architecture. This architecture is important for simply transmitting a message about the occurrence of a particular event at its own pace, without waiting for a response. These are the main points. So accordingly, see what else we will be using. We will use Model View Controller. As the model, we will have classes. As the view, we will have JSON files. And as the API interaction, we will have controller classes. So, let's go back. Well, I suppose that is all there is to say. Let us move over to this spot here. We will have a main module that serves as a wrapper for all the others. Accordingly, it will have a POM purchase instead of a jar. Later, I will tell you more about this. There will be a starter module that contains the main logic, the main method, and the basic settings for the application. The library module is responsible for logs related to the book and the user, and the statistics module as well. This will be the event that will record in the database, and we will have one database. This is essentially the event. That is, the controller will perform some specific action. The user will take or return a book. This is a trigger. Accordingly, if the user takes or returns books, a record is made in the database in the statistics table. It's all very simple. Let's get started. The development stage will simply be in non-stop mode. Live coding.
In general,
it's already evening, and it's great to see what a cool job being a programmer is. The evening is quiet, the monitor is on, and no one is bothering you. Awesome. So, let's take a look at the folder structure. src. Let's say goodbye to this directory. We have a mon module. This is a wrapper module. It will not contain any code. Accordingly, we are removing it. Next, POM. This is our main POM file. Let's see what we have here. Version. Okay, this is standard for the latest versions of Maven. Depending on when this video is made and how long it lasts, it may become outdated. So the parent here refers to the main version of Spring. Looking up the parent from the repository where to search for group ID, artifact ID, and version 0.0.1. The name and description can be removed. Basically, nothing special is needed here. There is no need for it. That's all. Goodbye. We keep the properties. What is our version of Java? Let's check the dependency. Spring Data JPG. Okay. Web. Okay. MySQL is available. Project Lombok is available. Starter. Test. We will not write tests. Okay. Good.
Mobile exploitation.
Let's update. Excellent.
Vertical first chain elevators.
The next point. What do we need to do next? Next, we will add modules here. What modules do we have? We have a statistics module, a library module, and a start module, which is responsible for each of you. Let's add them. Here. Start.
You can see the latest news, updates, and insights about the community first.
The laboratory and the statistics are well prepared. The next point is that we need to slightly enhance our POM with this thing called packaging POM. The packaging POM indicates that this module does not contain any data. In other words, it does not store any data. It simply serves to assemble the other modules. Therefore, the POM, the other modules, will be assembled into a jar. So, we are about done with this. Oh, one more thing. Well, we can write that later. Let's update something, but it won't compile for now since the start module is not found. Let's create the start module. Alright, ready. Let us now create the maze module and the statistics module. Now let us move to the statistics. Open it up and examine closely. What exactly is happening right here? Okay, we have it. XML will not be recognized as part of Maven. Add as Maven project. And everything suddenly took on completely different colors. So here we have the following. Also version 4, commed app, female.statistic. Excellent. Good. Next, parent. Here we will leave a link to the parent POM from where to take everything, actually. A story that inspires makes your life, so we have from SCOM. I already forgot. Our group ID is commed app. Commed app. Okay. This group ID is no longer available. We have an artifact. We have a version. We have a group ID and an artifact ID. So, who is it called? Mon. But basically, yes, there is a version. Let's copy it. Our version is the same. So, this is junk, George. Alright, let's check we're on spiral. Everything is fine. The artifact has been created. The version is the same. George, everything is okay. The only thing we need to add is the dependency, and the dependency from the library module.
We need to specify everything explicitly since the library modules will be done like this. Look, we will copy this dependency from here. Everything is the same, only I will put it here, and either help or mail has a station. Okay, we will figure this out. Alright, we have sorted this out. Let's move on to the module. Let's go to the maze module. Everything will be roughly the same. So, the model version is 400 about the artifact version. Good. Let's add pirate tyrant. Let's take the statistics parent. We only need one group ID, so we don't need that one anymore. In the laboratory, we specify packaging as jar. Good. We won't add any other dependencies here, but basically, okay. Now let's move on to the start module. The start module will be a bit more interesting since the program will be launched from it. We need to add dependencies from both the library and statistics. Basically everything else will be the same. Look, the model version is pyramid, so we will also remove the dependency from the mail make. Here we add sec and John jar. Good. Here we also leave it as is, adding the gypsum dependency with group ID 71 for the library.
To be continued. Yes, I was just thinking about something that came to mind. It's an interesting idea that I believe could be worth exploring further. What do you think about it? Why might I have problems in some projects? Because I have standard group ID and artifact names, only the modules themselves are named differently, and I sometimes have it. Apparently they get confused. Probably that's what I assume. So we did everything. Okay, everything is good. Everything is absolutely great. We are all completely set. Okay, now, the next point. Look, we have created the main module, the startup module, the library module, and the statistics module, such as these. Great. Accordingly, we specified all the dependencies, set everything up, and it seems like everything is good. We now need to set up the initial module. Add the application, YAML file, and two files, schema, SQL, and data.sql. Accordingly, schema.sql is responsible for creating the table, while data.sql is responsible for populating the database with data. Basically, everything will be done upon launch. Alright, let's start right from it. So let's continue on this journey. First, we need to do the following steps. Take a look at this. We have a new directory named src. Within this directory, we will create a package structure that includes com.app.library. In this section, we will perform the same operation as before. We need to select the same source root option to ensure everything is set up correctly. This step is crucial for maintaining consistency across our project structure. By doing so, we align our directory with the standard practices, which helps in managing the codebase efficiently. We create the same structure, com.app start, and make it static. The app is just the start. We are working on the natural model and in the small piece. And already from statistics and data. Source root, statistics, statistica is done. Look at how it has been shortened. Accordingly, in start, we will have the main method. Let's create it right away. We will have a Mon application in our project. We incorporate the Spring Boot application annotation, which is essential. In the following step, we develop and establish the essential main method. We now transition to the Spring application class. Here it is. The run method. And here we pass monApplication.class and the arguments. That's it.
Okay. Now from the main folder we create another directory. Resources. Guess what important and valuable things will be stored there in the future. Correct resources. So DB, database, database. Accordingly, we will place the schema.sql and data.sql files there. I already have the schema, SQL and data.sql files ready, so now it's a commercial break. After that, you will see the files. Friends, here are our files. In the resources folder, we also need to create a necessary configuration. A file from which Spring will retrieve the settings. This is the application file with a YAML extension. There are properties, there is YAML, I use YAML. Accordingly, what do we need to do here? First, let us actually disable the banner, so that if we happen to log something, it actually does not get included there. Plus, it does not carry any useful information. Spring, main, where is our main? I see it. Off, great. Next, database, setup. Where will we be connecting? This will be MySQL. No, JDBC. MySQL : / localhost 3306. / and the name of the database. I have of course already created it. It is called... No, that's not how it's called. It's called like this. Here is such a very simple name. User, commonly known as a user in many contexts. User, root, password, 123. Use environment variables, for example, to secure passwords. You all know this well. Great, we have sorted that out. What else do we need to say about Spring Glue? It should also be mentioned where Spring Glue will get the data for the database. SQL package. Ah, wait. No, that's not it. Just a moment. Init. Always run. Accordingly, what else do we need? We need the location schema. The location schema is located in the path class, dataways. / It is a schema, which means an SQL schema. And data location, + and dataways and more. / data source. As you know, this has already been figured out. Basically, we have figured this out too. Let's move on to the SQL schema. Here is our SQL schema. Let's go back. We have dealt with the schema. Installation. So let's go to data source, please. SQL schema. Let's start from here. I didn't find data source. Let's add data source plus here in MySQL. We are entering essentially the same data as the root user, which means we have administrative access to the database system. We have a database that is integrated with the plugin, allowing us to manage and manipulate data efficiently. However, here the story remains unchanged. Just a moment. Everything works perfectly in version 2, which is the latest stable release, ensuring compatibility and performance. Everything is working well, and there are no issues reported. Now, what are we going to do next? Next, we need to do the following. Here in the main POM file, at the bottom section, in the configuration settings, we need to put this specific text for the main class declaration and write down the exact location where my class is situated, which is in the upstart directory. Here's our moment. Let's update it so it doesn't complain. Good. Look, it seems like we've set everything up. Everything seems to be in order. Let's do the following. Let's try to open our Maven and do an install. Will our project build at all? It seems to be coming together. I hope it really does. Success is great. MonLibrary, sadidix.com. Everything is good. Let's continue. So, we move on to our file. Here is our file, friends. We have finished here. Now we move over here with the main module, which is also basically fine. We won't add anything there. We have also figured out the start. Let's begin creating the Lavra module. Let's start making the Labyrinth module and the Statistics module. Why? Because we need to create entities everywhere. Okay, the entities will be book and user in the Lavra statistics. And start. So, let's start with a new package entity. We will also create an entity instead. New package entity. Alright. Here we will have the class book and another Java class user. Basically, that's it. Statistic. There will be another Java class here. Let's call it stat. Okay, let's now bring our classes to life with excitement and enthusiasm. As you perfectly understand, they will be stored in the database. So, we need to explain to the sparring who they are, and we will do this using something like Hibernate. Let's go. Accordingly, since the class will be an entity that resides in the database, there are certain requirements for it. Accordingly, both fields must be private. We must have a getter and a setter. We must have a primary key as well. So let's carry out all of this right now. Getter, setter. There should be an entity annotation Jakarta persistence. We should have a table annotation in the table. We will specify the name of our table. Name books, many books. We have figured this out. Now let's do the same with the user. We will have many different types of users in our database in the table. Furthermore, let's do the same with statistics. There will be a lot of statistics. So statistics. Well, I hope it's correct. Great. Statistics. Well, I hope it's correct. What fields will we have for books? I'll be honest with you. I remember them by heart because I prepared the tables, the material, and so on. So let's go. Made your life easier. Subscribe and grow with us.
Unlock exclusive content. Don't miss out. Stay ahead of latest updates. Join the community. Be the first to know. Elevate your skills. New videos every week. Subscribe for insider tips. Learn something new. Never stop learning. Join us. Be inspired. Subscribe and grow with us. Unlock exclusive content. Don't miss out. Stay ahead with the latest updates. Join the community. Be the first to know. Elevate your skills. New videos every week. Subscribe for insider tips. Learn something new today. Never stop learning. Join us. Be inspired. Subscribe for exclusive content.
Yes, he dreamed. My favorite recipe is... You are saddened by the stations, stopping with stops. And in response, I do not know physically. Exclusive content, don't miss out. See you soon.
Exclusive content, including more.
Der Hack Dog Update. Join the Community Der Hack. Don't miss out. Stay ahead with the latest updates. Join the community. Be the first to know. Elevate your skills. New videos every week. Subscribe for insider tips. Learn something new today. All set here. Now let us move on to the absolutely most fascinating and interesting part.
To meet our goal, we must design something that captivates and engages the audience. This requires a concept that is not only intriguing, but also memorable. We should incorporate innovative ideas and unique perspectives to ensure our creation stands out. By doing so, we enhance its appeal and impact, leaving a lasting impression. So, here is our miracle file again. Let's take a look. Basically, we figured out the book user and the statistics. Now we will do the following. We will create a classic module view controller scheme in the library module. In statistics, but in statistics in such a truncated form. So let's continue. In the library module, we will create a few more packages. The controller is a key component in the system, responsible for managing tasks and interacting with the service layer. It ensures smooth and efficient operations, playing a crucial role in coordinating between different modules and services. And of course, as you might expect, the main repository. Great. Let's start with the controller. Accordingly, this will be the controller for book rental. So, what do we need to do? Write the book controller.
The advantages of content without a pair.
Book controller. So first, as you can see, we need to add the necessary RESTful controller annotation, which is required to be added here. What does the REST controller annotation do? The REST controller contains, let's dive in and see the controller annotation and what is a controller. This class is a controller that handles HTTP requests. The controller itself contains a component annotation, which will actually just simply create the object, okay, and response body. Response body tells us that the methods of our controller will return data directly in the body of the HTTP response, rather than in some XML format. Okay, you can read about it here. Do you see by default MVC and so on indeed? Okay, let's go back. BookController. Everything is clear with the controller. Next, required args constructor. A constructor with required arguments from the Lombok library to automatically generate a constructor and inject the fields, such as these. Fields must be final. This is written right here in the documentation. Good. Next. Request mapping. Request mapping is an annotation that specifies the base URL for all methods within a specific controller. Well, accordingly, what exactly can we write here? I have made it. What exactly can we write here? Well, for example, like this. Slash, for example, API, and, for example, book. Or if we are requesting books, then book. Alright, there will be a lot of different requests. Okay, we got it. Next, the controller will receive and gather information and relevant data from an external source, process this information, and delegate the work to the service. Accordingly, we need services. Private, final. Let's create a Book service. Let's talk about BookService. BookService. Okay, it's highlighted in red because we haven't created it yet. We will create it a bit later. And private final, the moment we have all been waiting for. And here, right now, we have a brand new player who is entering into the game. The application event publisher is a component of the system that responsibly handles and manages the distribution of events. Application event publisher ensures that all events are published efficiently. Publisher. Application event publisher commonly and frequently appears in event-driven architecture, is used often in modern software systems, and is one of the main components. Inside it, we will discuss this separately later if we have time to get to it. Well, I think we will. Inside it, I don't know how to explain it better. He uses internal. So let's put it this way. From this point on, internally it functions in a way that operates according to the observer pattern, meaning it broadcasts these specific events, records them carefully, and sends them somewhere to a designated location where those who are subscribed to this event, essentially a queue, carefully observe and track all activities in detail. It might appear somewhat convoluted. So, we have a new player coming in. Application Event Publisher. This is one of the key mechanisms when designing an event-driven architecture in Spring Boot. What does it do? It, so to speak, essentially records actions, which are called events, and then certain parts of the program that are subscribed to this event, meaning they are listeners, commence to execute their own logic. So this is exactly what we were talking about. When renting a book, this is an event. It is not a request. We are not waiting for any response. Accordingly, we perform a record in the statistics database. Accordingly, how it will be recorded, at what speed, we really don't care. We can configure it however we want. That's all. If we have many events, we can have many subscribers for a single event or a lot of actions that occur after the execution of any event. Okay, alright, indeed, here we have it. Let us continue. So now let's write our controller. Public. Let's return a string. This function is designed to return a string value. We'll call it, well, accordingly, rendbook. We will name this string appropriately as rendbook. So, there will be parameters inside, hence the request param annotation. The function will include parameters, which is why we use the request param annotation. In accordance with our current procedures and guidelines, it is important to note that we will be proceeding with the action of passing the identifier known as bookid. This identifier is crucial for the process and ensures that all relevant data is accurately transferred and recorded. The bookid. In this step, we are going to include the user ID as part of the request parameters. This is crucial because it allows the server to identify which specific user is making the request, ensuring that the response is tailored to that user's data. To achieve this, we will modify the request by, so, what will actually happen next? Next, we will do the following. We introduce a variable in which we will store exactly whether this book is rented or not. how are we going to do this? We will ask this from the BookService, which is our dedicated service for books. BookService. Here are its parameters, including additional details about its parameters. Let's discuss further. We need to consider and further elaboration on what we need to do. Well, fine, let it be as it is indeed. BookID. Here we have passed it indeed. In the next step, we proceed to carry out the following actions or steps. If it is rented, then is rented true, meaning it is essentially rented. Basically, in essence, then we do the following as a result. In this process, we carefully and meticulously call our trusted publisher and then invoke the publish event method on it. Here we pass an object. You see either an application event or some object. The object we will define later. And what will our event object be? That is, it will essentially be an object that holds some information about this event. Well, let's come up with it now. New, let's say, book. Let's name it this way. BookRentedEvent. Rented event, BookRentedEvent. In this BookRentedEvent, we will store the book ID, user ID, and for example, the rental information, whether it is rented or not, which is naturally true. We don't have this object yet. We will create it later, soon. Well, accordingly, this is what we will return. This is what we will return. Accordingly, if the rental returns true. So, then everything is okay. Kniga, printed, saw, lots of exclusive content, you're a mess out of success, exclamatory field, DEMA act. Otherwise, the Kniga will not provide anything, elevator scales, the 07. I've already written so many words and caught so many that I just don't know anymore. Okay, here it is. So, look at what is actually happening. We request to check if the Kniga is вообще dostupno. If it is dostupno, then we create events to confirm that we really have it. If not, we get a response that the Kniga is not available. And if it is, we get a response that the Kniga rented successfully. So, if it is dostupno, we rent it. Everything is fine. Now let's figure out this Kniga rented event. Look, this is the object that we have just created. It's not ready yet, but we will make it quickly. It contains the ID of the Kniga that was rented, user ID, who rented it, and that it is rented true. That is, its default state will be true. We will change it later. These are all the fields that we need. Let's create class book. First, we will need to do the following. Let's create a folder and name it. In this particular context, we are going to make an object appear to fly right here in this specific area, and therefore we must ensure to prohibit it and also enhance the skill level required for the account just a little bit. I just jumped over it. I mixed it up a little bit too much. What we need here is this. Getter. Constructor with all arguments. And here we will have private int user ID, private int bookid, and private boolean is dostupno. That's all. This will be our umbilical cord. Good. We moved here, moved here, moved here, moved here. The next point is that we need to create a service. The service is the main part of our program. Let's create it. Now I will tell you one thing. Let's create the service class right away. Well, actually, it's not very correct to do it this way. So, public class service. Service is responsible for, let's say, the main calculations. We will place the annotation service and the annotation required args constructor, because inside there will be an object of type repository that will connect to the database.
So, what will we have in the service? If you read about what the service annotation does, you will see that it is applied in domain-driven design as an operation, meaning that the service class should be represented as a repository of some operation, which is implemented through an interface and does not contain any states. That is, it does not store any data, meaning that there should be no storage of any data within this service. And it serves to perform some actions through the interface, being implemented via the interface. Therefore, the book service is usually the book service impulse and implements some interface. We have a simplified version, so we will not deal with that here. So, we have created the book service. Private, final, book repository. We will call it, and next we need a public method. Let's create it through the controller. Look, we already have it in the controller. We'll do it like this, and that's it. The method is ready. Okay, what are we going to do here? The first thing we need to do is to access the repository and find our book by ID. Since searching by ID may not always be successful, our return value is generally optional. In order to avoid throwing a null pointer exception, therefore, optional book. Optional book import the book by selecting the appropriate option from the menu. Look at what it suggests to import, which includes various formats and types of books. It suggests importing MoAction, a specialized action for managing book imports efficiently. It also suggests importing another book, which could be beneficial for expanding your library collection. Equals. So, what is create parameter book MoAction? Let's tell it where to look for the import, by specifying the correct path in the system. The import process involves using the pom.app library.entity, a crucial component in the library's software architecture that ensures seamless integration and management of imported books. Everything is fine. Next, we turn to the repository and call the method to search by ID, but it currently does not have this method because the book repository is not created. Let's create it. Look, this will be an interface, and it must be in the repository folder. We will mark it as a repository, and it will inherit from the GPI repository. If we look at it, it is parameterized. And the first parameter is the table, meaning the class. In our case, it is book. And the second parameter is ID, which is the secondary key of type integer. Great. Since we have inherited, the book repository has also acquired its properties. This is the essence of inheritance. Accordingly, methods like find by ID start to appear sharply here. Grab font cider. And let's pass bookid here. Bookid. The following happens next. If our book exists, that is, if it is found, then we create the book. Book. For update. A book for updating. And accordingly, we access the optional book and use the get method to return an object of type book. Retrieved from optional, extracted, get, book, good, we extracted the book. Next, if our book for update, and let me rename it not to book for update. First of all, for is written strangely, refactor, rename. Let me call it book from optional. This is the item you have been searching for. It is now available for you to either use or purchase, depending on your needs. Please feel free to proceed with your decision as it is ready and waiting for you. That is, if the book is available, then we need to take it. Accordingly, we need to do the following. Book from optional set available. We are setting it to false. Okay, here we go. And in the next moment we call the book repository and simply save our book from optional. That's it. We saved it. And accordingly in the function return true as expected. Okay, and here we have return false. Alright, that's just it. The method is simply written. Let's just take a look at it. Well, here we don't have the user ID mentioned at all. Let's make at least something. Of course we could rewrite it entirely, but I won't rewrite it right now. Let's do system.out println like this, and user and then I hit space equals plus subtitles made by Dima Torzok. Here is the plus. Yes, I have a Spanish keyboard, friends, so please excuse me. I will take a long time to find the plus. Plus user ID. Now user ID is involved. Good. Repository. Everything is okay. Event. Everything is okay. User. Everything is okay. Book. Everything is okay. Let's remove the line. Everything is okay too. Print book. Got it. What did we forget here? We forgot to add the annotation here. We add the post mapping, and here we will make some kind of /ren, learn /ren/. Okay, everything is fine. We have figured out the laboratory module. We have also figured out the start. Now we have the statistics left. Accordingly, what will we have in the statistics? We have already created the entity together. Let's check if everything is in order with the entity. And let's simply do the following. Naturally, we will have a service here. Service, in general, it would be correct to name it some kind of statistics service, although I don't know. Write in the comments what is better. And the repository, good. Look at what we will be doing next. In fact, in the service we do the following. This is a new Java class. This will be some kind of statistic event listener. It is part of the statistic event service. Statistic event in the context of service and its implications. Indeed, statistic event service. Great, we did it. Service. We have set it up. The repository is also being introduced here. Accordingly, we need required args constructor. We will inject through the constructor, which will be generated by the Lombok library. Here, accordingly, we need some kind of stat repository. The final stat repository is a central hub designed to efficiently manage and access final statistical data. It ensures data integrity and provides users with easy access to comprehensive reports and analyses. Now, actually, the method itself, public void. The method will be called handle, meaning it will capture. Book rental events. Accordingly, as a parameter, we need to pass something of type book, as we call it BookRentedEvent, I believe. Here it will be. Let's name it. Let's call it BookRentedEvent. Okay, here is such a method. What will he do? Look. We will create a statistics object from which we will access the repository and also search for ideas based on this book. But again, we can't do anything because we haven't created the repository. Let's create it, the repository interface, in a folder named repository. The repository extends JPEG, repository. You see T is the table, ID is the primary key, and the table starts here. I remind you that we have a shared database. For now, it is integer. Alright, we're going back. Now there's this method. The subtitles were created by Dima Torzok, so what we need to do is get the ID from there. But since we have statistics in the table, I'll show you later, it will be updated all the time. The ID is always the same. Well, I did it a bit awkwardly, but overall it's fine. It's just that the ID is always the same. So find by ID. Okay. And some kind of, I don't know, but else, rather, an empty statistics object. This is what we have at this stage. Now we need to update it. In order for us to understand where things are happening and how this service will catch events that are somewhere in the lab, we need to use the event listener annotation. Why is it here? Here it is. Event listener. That's it. Now he will be subscribed to this event. To which one? To this one. Now let's update the statistics. Statistic. The first thing we will update is total each it books. What will we have? We will get +1 statistic. Get total each it books. And note sadness, it is Tottenham. +1, so the statistics are now available with this Avia blog, providing a comprehensive overview of the current data trends and insights. The statistics are not only minus, step plus, aim in taxi, minus find minus found quickly, -1 only yes, just not this here set, -1. Okay, we updated and now we are saving the updated statistics. These statistics are not only about the negatives, but also highlight the positive steps taken, such as the addition of Armin taxi services. The process of finding and updating these statistics was done quickly, ensuring that the data is accurate and up to date. So we need this in the repository, the stats repository. We have made sure to save the updated statistics in the repository, which is crucial for maintaining an organized and accessible stats repository. The safe and stored statistics, which are crucial for our analysis, are now available for us to examine. Let's take a closer look at what we have gathered so far. We begin by opening the main method, which is the starting point of our process. As we proceed, we can see that everything is functioning smoothly and has been initiated successfully. This ensures that our data is ready for further exploration and analysis, providing us with valuable insights. Database, we open the database. Letters, we open statistics. We close this here, take these panels here. We open the controller. The controller goes here. Here is the login cat. And here on this controller we click on post mapping, and IntelliJ IDEA automatically generates a request for us. Here it is with us. Here it is with us. Let's make a request to rent the book by ID 1. Look, we have a table of books available. That is, 1 means true and 0 means false. The statistic, we have a total of 3 available books. 1, 2, 3, and occupied 1. Okay. See our response. 4 and 4. What is the problem? 404. 400 not found API книги. Аренда not found. I think you know what we can do. We can do this. Let's do it. Right here. We will close this. We will close this. Here we will write the following. Since we may have a problem that this main is located in the start module and the POM here is perceived by Spring as a separate structure, meaning that Spring does not have access to the other modules. Let's address this here.
Subtitles made by Dima Torzok.
So, ComDAP start. The only thing that needs to be placed here is like this.
Exclusive content. Guilt is out. Exclusive content. Guilt is out.
Here we will have a library. You see? It has been highlighted, which means it was found. And statistic. Okay, and just in case, let's do the following. Entity scan. Here we will specify where our entity is located. In this section we are going to discuss the foundational packages that are included. Essentially, these packages are quite similar across the board, maintaining a consistent structure and functionality. However, it is important to note that within this context, we will specifically incorporate the library.entity module. This module plays a crucial role in enhancing the capabilities of our system by providing essential functionalities and features that are integral to the overall operation. By utilizing library.entity, we ensure that our system is robust, efficient, and capable of handling various tasks effectively. Copying. Here is the statistic. And we can do something else. Enable JPI repositories. It's something like base packages. Here we have it, base packages. Accordingly, everything here will be the same. This is a repost, and we have the rate, so we will eventually rewrite it into a microservice later on. Anyway, so there is nothing supernatural or extraordinary about it. The repost is just a temporary solution, and the rate is something we are aware of. The plan is to transition to a microservice architecture, which is a more efficient and scalable solution. This is a common practice in software development, and there is nothing unusual about it. Well, we will close this, and then we will open this, and we will open this again. We will proceed with closing and reopening tasks as needed. And look, we have everything on him. I think like this. Yes. Let's check everything on him. Yes. 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 Good. We have all the necessary information on him, and it is important to verify everything thoroughly. Okay. We have the profile lifecycle all clean. I always mix them up. The profile lifecycle is organized and clean, although I sometimes confuse the details. Let's restart everything. It is time to restart all processes to ensure everything runs smoothly. Happy season to everyone. Wishing everyone a joyful and prosperous season. So let's go. The application has been released. Okay. This is it. Okay, just to confirm everything works, BookController. Let's go here. We open the database. We open our books. And we open the statistics. We are in the process of closing this particular matter, ensuring everything is handled properly and efficiently. So we will rent the book with ID 1 and user ID 1. So here, please, here are the available books and the statistics.
Available books. Hello? Unavailable books. Okay. The application is launched. Let's make a post request. Book rented successfully? Great. Now let's see how the event was processed. First, let's update this database. We should see a change here. Oh, you see 2? It was 3, now it's 2. Great. And here we have some little book. This one will go for rent. It will be 0. That's absolutely great. Cool, right? Indeed, everything works. Well, that's it. Let's make a brief summary. So, we made the decision to develop the application. Since our application will not be under high load in the early stages, we need a minimum viable product. And for the simplicity of development, interaction between the team and system components, for simplicity, we decided to write on Monolith. Since we have business logic, we distributed it across different modules. Here you go, a multi-module monolith. In the library module, we have the model view controller presented. We also have an event-driven architecture, and we use Spring Boot Application Publisher and Spring Boot Application Listener, which utilize the observer pattern to pass events to the components that are subscribed to those events. That's basically it. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Accordingly, next time I will make another video. I hope it will be even more interesting. If this video gets 100 likes, then I will post the source code in the description. That's all for now. Bye bye.